All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a big one, Aristotle's Politics, specifically Book 1.
Yeah, foundational stuff. You wanted to get right to the origins of the state, and this is where Aristotle lays it all out.
Exactly. We want to unpack his core ideas, what a state is for him, its essential bits, and how household management kind of leads into political organization.
And we'll definitely touch on community, rulers, the ruled, including his, let's say, very controversial views on slavery.
Right, and his analysis of wealth, how we get it. But the hook, for me anyway, was his idea that the state is natural.
Totally. And that humans are, by nature, political animals. Like, such a famous line.
So what does that actually mean? How does he back that up?
Well, it comes down to speech. He argues that unlike other animals, we don't just make sounds. We use language to discuss what's fair, what's unfair, what's good, what's bad.
Ah, so it's about moral reasoning.
Precisely. That ability, he thinks, is the bedrock for both the family and the larger state. It's about figuring out how to live well together.
Okay, so structure-wise, we'll start with his definition of the state, then look at the household as its, building block.
Including that difficult topic of slavery.
Yeah, and then wrap up with property and getting wealth. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
So, first up, the state as a community. He says every community aims for some good.
Right. And the political community, the state, aims for the highest good, the most authoritative one.
And he warns us, don't just think a king is like a householder with more people.
Exactly. It's not just about numbers. The kind of rule is different. He insists we need to break the state down into its simplest parts to see these differences.
Okay, so breakdown. Where does he start?
Yeah.
The absolute basics.
He starts with, well, biology almost. The natural pairing of male and female to continue the species.
Okay, natural drive.
Then, another pairing for preservation. The natural ruler and a natural subject. The ruler has foresight, the mind.
And the subject has the physical ability to carry things out. This is where his justification for natural slavery comes in, isn't it?
It is. It's central to his understanding of this basic unit. From these two relationships, procreation and rule subjection, you get the family, the household.
Got it. Family first, then.
Then, several families unite, maybe for more than just daily survival needs. That forms a village. He sees this as a natural step.
Makes sense. Pooling resources, maybe defense.
Right. And when several villages combine and become basically self-sufficient, able to provide everything needed for life, that's when the state emerges.
So it starts out of necessity, just basic needs.
But it exists, ultimately, for the sake of living a good life. That's the crucial part. And because it's the end goal, the completion of these earlier forms, he calls the state natural.
Which brings us back to the political animal idea.
Exactly. Our speech allows this discussion of justice and the good life. That shared understanding makes the family and the state possible. It's unique to us.
He even says the state is prior to the individual. That sounds backward.
It does, but think of his analogy.
Yeah.
A hand cut off in the body isn't really a hand anymore, right? It can't perform its function.
Ah, so the individual can only fully function, be fully human, within the context of the state.
That's his view. Outside the state, you're either, as he puts it, a beast or a god. Not really human in the full sense. Our social instinct is natural, and the person who first founded a state was the greatest benefactor.
Because without law and justice, which the state provides, humans can be the worst animals.
The absolute worst. Justice, for him, is what holds states together.
Okay, let's pivot to the household, since it's the state's foundation. Master-slave, husband-wife, father-children.
Right. And he spends a lot of time on the master-slave part. He sees the slave as a kind of living tool, an instrument for action.
This natural slavery idea is hard to grasp from a modern perspective.
It really is. We have to be clear.
Yeah.
We're explaining Aristotle's view, not endorsing it. He genuinely seemed to believe some people are just naturally suited to rule because they have reason and foresight.
While others are naturally suited to be ruled, providing the physical labor. He uses the analogy of the soul ruling the body.
Yes, or intellect ruling the appetites. He even extends this to male being naturally superior to female. It's a consistent principle for him, however uncomfortable it is now.
Does he acknowledge that not all slavery fits this natural model, like prisoners of war?
He does. He distinguishes between slavery by nature and slavery by law or convention, like capture and war. And he notes philosophers disagreed even then was it just the rule of the stronger. He points out Hellenes, often considered non-Greeks, barbarians, as potential natural slaves.
So for him, if the relationship is natural, there could be some shared interest, maybe even friendship.
Bizarre as it sounds, yes.
Yeah.
But if it's not natural, based only on force, then it's the opposite, inherently antagonistic. And he's clear, this master-slave rule is not the same as political rule among equals.
Okay. Let's shift gears slightly to wealth. The art of getting wealth. How does that fit in?
Is it part of household management? Separate, just a tool. He explores this. He draws a key distinction
Which is?
between the natural art of acquisition, getting the things a household or state needs to function, which has limits.
Like food, shelter.
Right. And then there's wealth getting for its own sake, through trade and commerce, which he sees as potentially limitless and less natural.
He talks about the two uses of a thing, right? Like a shoe.
Yeah, the proper use is wearing it. The secondary or improper use is exchanging it or selling it. Retail trade, he argues, isn't strictly natural because it arises from this exchange, especially once money comes into play.
Money makes it easier, but also potentially corrupting.
That seems to be his view. He warns against thinking money is wealth brings up the Midas myth. True, natural riches are the necessities for a good life, managed by the household. The pursuit of unlimited money through trade is something else.
And usury lending money at interest is the worst.
The most unnatural form, he calls it, because money itself is barren. It shouldn't breed more money. That's completely detached from providing actual goods or services for life.
So, summing up, Aristotle sees the state as this natural outcome, aiming for the good life. It's built on households, which involve complex, and for us, troubling, hierarchies.
Definitely troubling, yeah.
And he carefully distinguishes between managing necessities and the potentially endless, unnatural pursuit of monetary wealth.
Exactly. His ideas, especially on slavery, are obviously tied to his time. But the core questions he raises, what's the state for? What does citizenship mean? How do we balance personal needs and the common good? Those are still incredibly relevant.
Absolutely. Hopefully this deep dive gave everyone a clearer picture of these foundational political thoughts. A new lens, maybe.
And perhaps a final thought to chew on. Aristotle tied being political animals to our unique ability for reasoned speech about justice. So in our age of, constant information, endless digital debate, countless perspectives, does that strengthen his ideal of a political community working towards a shared good?
Or does it maybe challenge it, make it harder to find that common ground he thought speech enabled?
Something to consider.